Well, if you guys noticed in the background, you probably can guess right about now. Yes, I'm in the destination, Guaymas, and it's kind of weird. So, today, as you probably know, I left on a Thursday, so we're gonna make up for what I did not do on Thursday. So, today we're gonna focus on Ring of Honor featuring many matches, but the main event is Ring of Honor featuring, of course, the ROH World Championship. Bandito makes his next defense against Adam Priest. So that's going to be a very interesting matchup. And then we move on with TNA. As you know, all hell has been breaking loose. TNA are now at war against outsiders. Mr. Mustafa Ali, as you know, is throwing a bit of a temper tantrum of how TNA has supported idiots in his own opinion, and plenty other things we're going to be talking about. And then finally, AEW Collision has continued on. And I did predicted it. Jon Moxley, as you know, has a bit of a problem towards Darby Allin getting involved in his business. But Darby Allin, well, let's just say he has other plans. Then, of course, we have the TNT Championship on the line. As you know, Kyle Fletcher, who's been crying like a big baby, has been looking for the chance to get this belt, and now he'll get it in a Chicago street fight. So a lot of things is going to happen. And then, as always, we will cap up our episode, as usual, with some news updates to give you guys updates on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events, promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, or should I say in Mexico as well, but from Canada, Japan, the UK, anywhere in the world pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do discussion videos where we talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, we can either put it on the next one or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, enough with the jibber jabbers, so let's get started. So let's begin, of course, with our first review, Ring of Honor. Okay, Ring of Honor. First up, we opened up with MXM Collection, Mansoor and Mason Madden, along with, of course, Johnny TV, taking on the conglomeration consistent of Hologram and, of course, Tomohiro Ishii, which is going to be interesting. Now, of course, factors is Johnny TV is right there by their side to ensure that this match went in their favor. However, of course, you gotta ask yourself, how is the combination with Hologram and Ishii's gonna turn around? I mean, we have seen some interesting combinations when it comes to conglomeration for a long time, and I have to say it did a pretty good job. I mean, Hologram is an excellent high flyer and very fast-paced person. But Tomohiro Ishii, we know he is a powerhouse, a guy who refuses to stay down. But it took a great combination between both, of course, Ishii and Hologram to pick up the win. But it was Hologram who picked up the win with the springboard 450 onto Mansoor. And just like that, uno, dos, tres, se acabó. Moving on, we have John Cruz taking on Gringo Loco. So it's interesting to see a very interesting match. Of course, Gringo Loco, for those who know, he's been well known in the Chicago area. If you ever seen him in the area, if I have any subscribers from Chicago, you know what I'm talking about. Of course, he was the heavy favorite, despite the fact that he's not currently signed with the promotion. I mean, he should be signed, I'm not gonna lie. But Gringo Loco has always been proven, but he was able to apply a springboard, a leg split moonsault onto John Cruz, and just like that, it was over. However, I'd like to put out a note here. I'm sure Serpentico is laughing his butt off knowing that John Cruz lost, so hopefully he saw that. Now, next match, we have Jimmy Jacobs versus Blake Christian. Now, of course, Blake Christian, we know he's a cocky SOB. We know he has plans of his own, and he continues to get in the face of Jimmy Jacobs no matter what. However, of course, Blake Christian, as you know, developed a new move from starting this year called the Valena Choke Zone, and that was pretty much how he picked up the win. Now, I'm not sure when he'll call out his shot for the ROH World Title. I wouldn't be surprised if he calls it out at Death Before Dishonor. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have wrestlers coming from CMLL participating in a Pure Wrestling Rules match. So this is a very interesting. Some wrestlers, for example, have been known in Mexico to be involved in technical aspects, like Hechicero is one of them, and Virus and a few others. And the wrestlers' involvement is Virus himself and a guy named El Shua, hopefully I pronounced it right. But man, it was a pretty interesting because I wasn't too sure if these guys understand what pure rules are. But I have to say, they really delivered because I didn't think they could pull it off, and they did. But Shua actually did something that he called it a shoelace. I don't know. I never seen a move like this, but it was a fantastic move. I mean, if they're gonna do like a pure wrestling rules tournament, I would love to see this guy involved. So hopefully that works out. Now, our main event is the ROH World Championship. Bandito defense makes a fourth defense taking on Adam Priest. Now, of course, Adam Priest, what if you guys didn't notice, he showed up with the Workhorsemen, who are like in the same kind of blue collar type style as, of course, as Adam Priest, and I wouldn't be surprised if he is part of the Workhorsemen too. But Adam Priest is no secret that he has some great technical abilities, just like any other wrestler. But yeah, you ask yourself, how is this gonna be effective for Bandito? I mean, Bandito, we know he's talented, we know he's strong, but he was able to pick up a fantastic win when he applied a frog splash, a move we all know to familiarize by the late Eddie Guerrero, and that pulled it off. Uno, dos, tres, over. So I have to say it was a pretty good show. So I did enjoy it, so we'll see what happens next week. But as of right now, let's continue on with our next review, and this one is from TNA. Okay, TNA. So let's begin with a very interesting opener, and this one, of course, is for the X Division Championship in a three-way. Now, it's no secret that the X Division title has been defended in three ways. My personal favorite is between Samoa Joe versus the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels versus, of course, the phenomenal one AJ Styles. And now Leon Slater is defending the championship in a similar manner, but this time against Cedric Alexander and of course Jason Hotch. So you probably ask yourself, is Leon Slater really making a big mistake? Well, it seems to me, from what I can tell, Leon Slater is determined to challenge himself, to bring the X Division to new heights, to bring back what it was back in the early days. And I have to say, he really pulled it off. And he picked up the win when he applied a 450 a Swanton 450, of course, onto Jason Hodge, and just like that, it was over. However, it seems that Cedric Alexander would love another opportunity of this belt against Leon Slater. But the real question is, when will that happen? Will that happen in the next pay-per-view Emergence or the bigger pay-per-view Bound for Glory? That's something we will see. Now, interview conducted, of course, with Masha Slamovich. They asked her about her upcoming title match against JC Jane. Now, as you know, she issued a rematch clause to get the TNA Knockouts World title back, and that's exactly what she attempts to do, to take it back home where it rightfully belongs. But we will see what happens. Now, our second match, we have Indy Hartwell teaming up with Dani Luna to take on Jody Thread and Ariana Grace. Now, it's interesting to see that Dani Luna and Jody Thread are on the opposite side of each other. If you guys know, they actually had they were known as Spitfire, a very interesting tag teaming together, but now they're on the opposite side. And according to what, of course, the commentators mentioned, this was a match that was put together by Victoria Crawford. It's still unclear. It seems that Victoria Crawford has an interest in Indy Hartwell, and she even showed up to see this. And of course, it was a pretty interesting match, but in the end, it was Dani Luna that picked up the win with the lunar landing onto Jody Threat. And just like that, 1, 2, 3, Indy Hartwell and Dani Luna picked up the win. Now, as you all know, Jake Something made his return to TNA, and he has one thing in mind on his mission, is to obtain the TNA International Championship. Remember, he had challenged this belt before, but it was in a three-way between him, Mance Warner, and of course the current champion, Steve Maclin. Now, Steve Maclin did hurt everything, but the real question is, will this thing happen between them? Now, if I was a betting man, I have two options, I would think. This match could happen either in Emergence or, of course, in Bound for Glory. Only time will tell when that happens. Now, our next match, we have the Menace Brothers versus the Rascals. Now, as you know, these two teams participating in the four-way ladder match for the TNA World Tag Team belts, which they lost, and now they are in a match. Now, of course, we've seen the Menace Brothers, how they tried to find ways to cheat themselves, but the Rascals were able to overcome it. But it was in fact Zachary Winston made the final killing blow that allowed them to pick up the win against the Menace Brothers. It was Zachary that picked up the win with the spinal tap onto Ryan Menace, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it was over. However, the Menace Brothers refuses to leave, of course, the ring, and during their post-match promo, they talk about they felt that their titles were stolen from them because they did not lose. But bro, it doesn't matter if you lost. You lost completely because the belts were pulled down from the rafter, and that's how it works. Nobody was pinned, nobody was submitted, but they act like a bunch of crying babies with big diapers. But however, they even disrespect the people of Kingston, Rhode Island. But in the end, of course, Hometown Man decided to deal with them until they both attacked them, and then later the Rascals showed up to help the Hometown Man. And you probably can guess that this is far from over, but before this whole thing ended in this post-match promo, it appears that the Menace Brothers are now issuing the rematch clause. And if I was a betting man, this could happen at Emergence, so we'll stay close to that once the time comes. Now, we did see, of course, Mike Santana do a promo. Now, as you all know, he did not fulfill what happened in Slammiversary. He talked about how, times about how he fought through everything that he went through. First, the loss of his father, he brought back to Crawl, and not to mention he had to look in his daughter's eyes and tell her how much he was sorry. But he said this about his daughter, saying, "Daddy, you'll get him next time." And of course, that gave him strength. And of course, as you probably know, he did say he will get another opportunity at the TNA World title, but the question is, it's only a matter of when. So, it's no longer if, folks, it's a matter of when. And if I was a betting man, if the smoke is clear, I would say it could happen in Bound for Glory. But we do know Moose has a target on that as well. But we will see who will be the first to take a crack at him. Now, our next match is, of course, the rematch For the TNA Knockouts World title, Masha Savage issued her rematch clause against Jacy Jayne. Now, of course, when it comes to this, we know Jacy Jayne is not alone in this match. We know that she has the members of Fatal Influence, consisting of Jasmine Nix and Fallon Henley being by her side. So things would have gone normal, but however, all hell broke loose with the attack of Ash by Elegance attack Masha Savage, ensuring this match ended in a way that is more poetic in her way. It was disqualified, of course. Of course, we did see the Fatal Influence and the Elegant Brands getting each other, and of course, Tom and of course, what's his name, Matthew Rinraw were shocked to happen. I mean, look, Matthew Rinraw said he is all for the Elegance Brands, but this was stupid. Did you cost a match that felt like you're destroying the reputation of TNA? They're trying to return what was theirs. Of course, we did see Xia Brookside and Li Yang Lee show up. The match later was turned out to be goes into Masha, but the title remained with Jacy Jayne. Now, of course, in the end, later after this, we did see Ash by Elegance how happy she did what she did. Santino was not happy with the result of this, but Ash by Elegance did this because she felt that it was her gut, that she is cashing in her opportunity for the TNA Knockouts World title, believing if she just got rid of Masha Savage, she gets at the top. But however, Santino had a better idea. She's giving her the opportunity to Ash by Elegance to have a shot of that title next week. However, whoever walks out between Jacy Jayne and Ash by Elegance, well, will meet Masha and Emergence. This was something I don't think they anticipate. You probably that Chihuahua is going to say, it's unfair, she lost. No, the problem is this, they interrupted. But Santino also made it clear that the Elegance Brands are officially banned from ringside. And of course, that's what happened. I mean, Ash, I don't think she's representing TNA, and I think that's the problem that Santino is noticing. So we'll see where that goes. Now, we did see a bit of a video promo with Mara Shade, as you know, formerly known as Jakara Jackson. I'm still excited to see what she can do. We know we did not see much of her out there as Jakara Jackson, but I can't wait to see what this character can do now. So I think that's something many of us are looking forward to it. So we'll see what happens. Now, the Order 4 does a promo. Of course, Mustafa Ali has revealed the name of the Secret Service agent that took out Matt Cardona last week. He calls him Agent Zero. But however, Ali, as you know, decided to say that he's sick of the fan base, how they are rooting for guys like Mike Santana, who continues to call him an addict. And then, of course, Joe Hendry, as you know, blaming him that we're in the position that they lost the TNA World title. But Joe Hendry decided to have a little fun with Mustafa Ali, saying that, you know, there's been some footage about John Skyler, you know, at catering, buying Joe Hendry t-shirt, and not to making bought a Mustafa Ali t-shirt, but he used that to wipe his ass in the bathroom. But of course, Mustafa Ali is trying to prove that no one believes in him. But of course, everybody believes in Joe Hendry no matter what, because things didn't go according to plan. But we'll see what happens next week, because of course Mustafa Ali is much of a coward in my opinion. So we'll see what happens for that. Now, we did see, of course, an interview with Tom talking about Sami Callihan, because apparently there's been results about about his harsh words that he said to him. But of course, Sami Callihan talked about how he had body issues as a kid, which is understandable, guys. I mean, people had dealt with this type of thing before. But I think the one question I think Tom was asking is there's possibility that this could be the end of Sami Callihan as an in-ring performer. That is something that we have to wait in Baltimore. So we'll see. Now, our main event, we have, of course, the System, consistent of Eddie Edwards and, of course, Moose, taking on AJ Francis and Trick Williams. As you know, the First Class, who are part of the TNA roster, are now aligned with Trick Williams. Now, it's no secret now. Of course, Casey Navarro was supposed to be in this event, but a knee injury put him on the sideline. But he is in ringside for Trick Williams and AJ Francis. And of course, I had that distinct feeling that Casey Navarro was going to get involved, and that's exactly what he did. But the beautiful thing is, Casey Navarro made the biggest mistake. He accidentally whacked Trick Williams with the clutch. giving time for Moose to apply the spear, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, it's over. So, as you probably can guess, Moose pinned the TNA World Champion Trick Williams. It's only a matter of time when that match will happen. Like I said, it could happen in Emergence or Bound for Glory. So we'll see where that leads us. So as of right now, we'll put a pin on that and wait until next week. But as of right now, let's move on to our last and final review, and that will be AEW Collision. Okay, final review, AEW Collision. Now, of course, I mentioned this in the last episode where we talk about Jon Moxley may not like what's just been going on with Darby Allin getting involved in his business. As you know, Darby Allin made his return back in All In, and then he appeared recently, of course, in some of the AEW Dynamite shows and probably Collision. So it seems Moxley had said he wants to have a little chat with them, and Darby showed up out of the blue. But Darby decided to, screw that, because Darby is not playing Jon Moxley's games anymore, because he knows that him having a little chit chat with Moxley in the ring leads to a beatdown. He's not an idiot. But we later did see, of course, Darby Allin laid out a trap to separate Jon Moxley. He used chloroform onto Mox to drag them away. And then we did see him that he was on the outside, like near us, one of those elevated subways, elevated trains. And he was about to toss him over. But of course, this could lead to maybe a feud that could happen down the road. But we'll see where that goes from there. Now, as you know, AEW has begun a World Tag Team Title Eliminator Tournament. We already have some teams involved. In this one, we have Bandito and Brody King, known as Brodito, taking on the Gates of Agony. What's interesting, I have to say, this is the first time I've seen Brody King and Bandito, in fact, involved in this match, teaming up together. We know they have interacted before, but it was great to see those two teaming up. I've just never seen anything like that. But the one thing that was interesting is that interesting combination between Brody King and Bandito, where Bandito just did like a somewhat of a short range 450 onto Bishop Khan. I never seen nothing like that. I don't know what to call that, but it's awesome. And that led them to go into the semifinals. So that means they will be facing the Young Bucks. So it's going to be interesting to see that. Now, we did see an interview with Lex Luger talking to Don Callis along with Lance Archer. As you know, Don Callis, is happy with the result. The fact that Kyle Fletcher will have his TNT Championship match, talking about things. And then Shane Taylor showed up in his face. However, Don Callis said that, look, we'll talk about money if you do me a solid. Take care of Skyflight for me. So basically, he sends them on a hunt against them. So we'll see what happens. Now, we did see Lex Luger talk to Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, talk about the recent developments, as you know. But Roderick Strong seems that he's asking him, why are you hanging out with the conglomeration? So it's kind of interesting. Like, Rod is becoming embarrassed. Like, why you're with those guys? And then you see Hologram, Tomohiro Ishii, and Willow Nightingale just having a bit of a nice conversation. But Willow, as you know, had a match to get to. So I thought it was a very interesting segment between them. Now, our next match, we have, of course, Chris Statlander taking on Lena Cross. Now, I want to make a note here. I did mention on the last episode, on the news update section, that TNA are looking into interest of signing Lena Cross, because, as you all probably know, Lena Cross, who's an Australian native, made her move to the U.S. now. So the real question is, does AEW have an interest in her? That's a good question. We don't know, but we'll see. But however, Chris Statlander, we know she's trying to grow up, try to do something different. But what it was interesting, she applied a brand new submission move, which was something we never expected. But I have to say, it did a good job for her to pick up the win. But however, the match jumped right away with Willow Nightingale taking on Tekla. But of course, Tekla was not alone. She is joined by Julie Hart and Sky Blue, better known as together as the Triangle of Madness. Now, of course, Willow Nightingale knows that she is stepping into a bit of a trap here, knowing that Sky Blue and Julie Hart are right there watching, and that's exactly what Tekla tried to do. And not to mention, Tekla applied a stomp onto her, and just like that, 1, 2, 3, Tekla picked up the win. Now, of course, in the post-match, we did see a beatdown onto Willow Nightingale until, of course, we see Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford show up to help the Triangle of Madness because they have a common ground. But we did see, of course, Queen Aminata join with Ty Mello and Anna Jay to help them out. So now it seems a war is happening within the AEW women's division. But we'll see where that leads us. Now, as you know, Billy Gunn, he was not happy with what's been going on with Anthony Bowen's behavior. But of course, Anthony Bowen's got into his face during his interview with Lex Luger. But Billy responds, I don't know who you are anymore. So it's still unclear what that is happening. Now, we did see, of course, Swerve Strickland out in the alley talking with news crew, with the camera crew, telling them about, of course, gloating the fact that he and Will Ospreay got rid of the EVP status from the Bucks. But however, it appears now he is gunning for Kazuchika Okada's unified title, and he said the best way to do that is at the Forbidden Door. So that's going to be interesting to see. But the real question is, will Don Callis, being the scum of the earth he is, will he allow Okada to accept? Well, to the answer to that, well, let's just say Don Callis, he thinks that Prince Nana is an idiot. Well, I have to say Don is a much bigger idiot, in my opinion, because he thinks he's all talk. But, of course, Okada accepted the challenge. So this is going to happen at Forbidden Door. Now, as you know, we have continuing on with the World Tag Team Title Eliminator match. We're in the semifinals, FTR taking on the Bang Bang Gang. Now, of course, FTR, thanks to that sniveling little weasel, Stokely Hathaway, making sure they reach the top. I just hope they don't win the tournament, because as I'm having that distinct feeling that Adam Copeland is going to get involved in some ways, but in a way where I don't think FTR is going to see it coming. So, of course, like always, Stokely gets involved, and FTR picked up the win thanks to Dax pinning, what's his name? Austin Gunn, and just like that, they move into the finals. But the real question is, who will be joining them? They're hoping it's the Bucks because they're willing to put the pass behind them. But we have Brodito, who are in line for that. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Now, Athena, as you know, she won the Casino Gauntlet match, where she gets a shot of the AEW Women's World Title. So it appears now Athena made her shot when it's going to happen, because I have to say she's right about something. Toni Storm has a bad record in London. As you all recall, Toni Storm lost a few times in London, and that means she feels this is going to be the perfect ground for her to say now she's going to be the AEW Women's Forever Champion. But we'll see. Some things can change, but we'll just have to wait. Now, Max Caster, as you know, had the open challenge against anybody, and the person that accepted it was, of course, Roosh showed up. And of course, Max was trying to outrun him, trying to, of course, make sure that the 5 minutes are up. But Roosh, he's not going to play around. Of course, he was going to beat up, and then he taunted him. But however, the match ended after 5 minutes. But after that, we did see a beatdown coming from La Facción Ingobernable, Roosh, Beast Mortos, and then Listico. And then security tried to stop him. But, of course, how do you beat a guys who just like beating the crap out of people? You can't. So that's how it ends. But of course, Max Caster acts like he survived it. Well, you barely survived it, Max, because Roosh doesn't forget his victims. But however, of course, we did see Jet Speed and AR Fox helping out. So we'll see more of that. Now, we did see, of course, the match between Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor and the Infantry taking on Skyflight. As you know, this was a solid that Shane Taylor is asked to do by that snake Don Callis. But seeing Skyfly as a real unit, I have to say it worked out pretty well in the end. It was Sky, the Scorpio Sky, that picked up the win when he applied, of course, the win, and just like that, it was completely over. But we'll see. Now, our next match, which was our main event, the TNT title, we have, of course, Kyle Fletcher and Dustin Rhodes in a Chicago street fight. Man, that match was effing brutal. You wouldn't believe how that ended, how it was going. I mean, thumbtacks on Kyle Fletcher's nuts, you know, whatever weapons. But the one thing that was crazy is that, if you all know, Don Callis, being the snake that he is, he gave a screwdriver and Kyle Fletcher shoved it right into the knee. And that's how he picked up the win when he used the brain buster on him. And just like that, brand new TNT champion. Sooner or later, I hope Kenny comes back and deals with Don Callis and someone beats Kyle Fletcher. But we'll see how things will go from there. But as of right now, we'll end things here and we'll move on to news updates. So let's move on to that. Okay. Sorry, I forgot my glasses, folks. Alright, news updates. As always, let's begin, of course, with upcoming events. Now, as you know, I mentioned 4 more events have been announced for the month of September by GCW. The first one, of course, is Evil Deeds. That will happen on the 12th of September in Detroit, Michigan. Names have been mentioned who already signed for this event. Here who they have. We have Matt Tremont, the TNA X Division champion Leon Slater, one called Manders, the Silvertooth Satan, Atticus Cogar, Dr. Redacted, Gringo Loco, and of course, if he's still champion, Effie. Then of course we have the Rumble on the River that took place on the 13th of September in Indianapolis. Of course, once again, we have Leon Slater, Max Warner, Matt Cardona, one called Manders, Effie, and Nate Webb. Now, we have, of course, a title match happening with Deadlock Pro Wrestling, DPW, for Beast Count. That's going to happen, Beast Coast, that's going to happen on the 10th of August. We have, of course, the champion, Nicole Mathers, taking on Masha Slamovich. And then finally, as you know, Texas Promotion, New Texas Pro Wrestling with Pride and Joy, that will happen on August 31st. They announced Vert Vixen will be participating. And then, of course, we are moving on to developments here, in case anybody asks. Now, many of you remember Odyssey Jones, who was released from WWE due to false accusations about domestic abuse. Well, some of you may question where he has gone. There's been footage on Instagram where he made his way to Japan. Mostly he's going to participate with Japanese promotion, All Japan Pro Wrestling. Still unclear what's going to happen there, but I can't wait to see what he will do in Japan. I'm sure that things will go well for him because, of course, false accusations is never good. We already saw that with Zachary Wentz. We all thought it was a little crap for what his ex-wife did, but hope things will turn around for him. Dominik Mysterio, many of you have saw recently he made his appearance in AAA. Apparently, it was reported that WWE are heavily considering making Dominik Mysterio as the face of AAA. Now, I'm sure some die-hard AAA fans may not like it, or some fans of pro wrestling in general may not like it, but that's exactly what they're saying. So we'll see how things will go from there. Now, as you all know, there's been some releases back in May from WWE, and apparently, as of right now, they will be free agents. We have Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, Braun Strowman, Katana Chance, and Kaden Carter. So we may see these people in the independents. It's only a matter of time of when. So that will happen. Now, TNA, this was reported by the Wrestling Observer. They mentioned about the possibility of a TNA TV deal, and there's been rumors that either A&E or CW are reported of in talks with them. It's still unclear when or where, but hopefully we'll hear some of that if it's true or not. We want to give congratulations to both Kylie Ray and Cappuccino Jones. many of you may have heard, they are now the first inaugural champions, part of the WWE ID prospect. So yes, Kylie is the WWID Women's Champion, and Cappuccino Jones is the WWID Champion. So great to hear that from them. Now, there's been recently developments going around, of course. This is something I think many fans are finding a load of BS coming from WWE. Don't shoot the messengers, boys and girls. This is what I've been reporting recently. This was coming from, I think, Wrestling Observer. Let me pull it out real quick. Yeah, this was coming from the Wrestling Observer. It was reported that WWE wants to use AAA as a developmental. Now, I think is a little crap, on my opinion. I don't know about you guys' opinions about that, but this is what they reported. They want to be different style than NXT or WWE because they are trying to make it something different for American audience. But they want the wrestlers to learn American style, learn to do English promos, because the idea is AAA in their minds is going to be akin to NXT Europe, NXT UK, where you have stuff, you have shows, but the goal is for these guys in NXT and later WWE. They're going to open performance centers in Mexico. The idea right now is not to have an arena performance center, but just a performance center, and they're where they take independent wrestlers, young guys who feel a lot of promise in independent scenes, and try to teach them American style, AAA style promos, character developments, all of those things. They're going to have American instructions and Mexican instructors. The Mexican coaches are going to have to go to Orlando to learn how they do it in WWE, so they can teach them how can they want to do it in WWE. So yeah, people have been talking about that for modernizing it, but that's how it is. Now, Wrestling Observer also reports, this was coming from Dave Meltzer. Now, if you guys may have heard, there's been recent about dual contracts from CMLL wrestlers to AEW. Now, the only reason they're doing this is to avoid what happened with Stephanie Fakir. This is what they reported. There are stories of last week about Hechicero signing a dual contract, and I think it's true. In Mexico, the feeling is there are several guys. Mystico may be one of them. Several of these guys have dual contracts, and this would be both sides. Yeah. Neither side wants another Stephanie situation, which basically that is what they put someone on TV to show other groups steal them. WWE has those guys signed. AEW CMLL has all of those guys signed. Sorry, folks, that's my family right there. So yeah, Rossy Ogawa recently, of course, credited Mayu Iwatani for boosting the attendings up to 50%, enhancing overall atmosphere. So it seems that Mayu making the jump to Marty Gold is raising the audience more. I mean, who doesn't love Mayu? Yeah, wherever she goes, fans will follow. Bea Priestly talked about Toni Storm. It turns out that Bea Priestly, as you probably know, was talk with Toni Storm about this idea of timeless, like going over and over. Carlos Jr. Basically saying about doing this timeless thing, and of course the saying goes, "F it, let's do it." So that's what she put it out. Now, finally, Gabe Kidd revealed why he joined the Death Riders. It seems that Gabe Kidd and Death Riders are the same. The reason is this. You saw how Gabe Kidd is towards his perspective with New Japan. And if you guys remember, he said that he felt New Japan has lost its respect, and he feels he has to save it. You look at Jon Moxley doing the same thing in AEW. They're basically the same, despite the fact Gabe Kidd will never go to AEW. But they both have the same kind of goals. So that's the reason he did what he did. So that's pretty much it, what we know so far. But if anything else goes on with Gabe Kidd and Death Riders, I'll let you guys know. We know Gabe Kidd is out of action due to an injury he obtained during the G1. So that's pretty much all for our news updates and reviews. Let's call it a day. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoy what goes on in this episode. If you guys see the guy behind me, that's my uncle. So yeah, don't worry about him, guys. So anyway, for our next episodes, I haven't decided yet, but I know I'm behind on some events, so I'll catch up as soon as possible. I know I got the Stardom and, of course, New Japan. So until then, I will see you guys the next time. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye and have a nice day. Bang.